Hello and welcome to the Boys Upstairs Show. It's the Week 13 NFL show.
Whoa!
Happy late Thanksgiving. Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving break. It was a great day of football, great day of food, great day of relaxation. Week 13. It's crazy we're already in week 13. I was just sitting there thinking this morning, like, it's week 13 already. But game one on the slate, if you would have said this game was on the slate, Broncos, Texans, at the beginning of the summer, I would have been like, there's no way. But first game on the slate is Broncos at the Houston Texans, who are -3.5, and the total is 47.5. And we're going to give it to Nickson.
This game, I'm going to go ahead and take the Texans -3.5. Really, mostly the reason that I took the Texans is because they're playing at home. And if you look at the numbers, not only their record, but Stroud's play when he's at home compared to away, it's there's a pretty big gap there. And I feel like even though Denver has been playing some pretty solid complementary football, and Russ has been making plays when he needs to on like third down and whatnot, I still feel like the talent on the outside that the Texans have, as opposed to, the Broncos defense, it'll just be too much for them to handle. And I feel like Stroud and them boys are gonna have a big game against the Broncos. So I'm gonna take them 3.5.
I'll follow you up there, Nix. I'm gonna go with the Broncos here. I'm not the biggest fan of them. I'm not the biggest fan of either team. I love C.J. Stroud. I love what he's been doing over there in Texas. And it's good to see them succeeding. They look like a fun team. They're fun to watch every weekend, week in, week out. But the fact of the matter is, the Texans haven't had more than a one-score game since they blew the doors off of Pittsburgh on October 1st when they won 30-6. I don't know what that was from Pittsburgh, but every other game has been very tight for them. The biggest margin since that was a 7-point victory over the Saints. So they've been playing teams very close lately. They haven't had more than a 3-point game in November, and they've won 3 of them and lost 1 of them. But everything's very tight with them. So 3.5 for the Texans, I feel like, is a little bit big of a spread. I feel like it's going to be tight, especially with how good the Broncos defense has been playing. Honestly, a real test, probably the biggest test Stroud and that offense is going to face since Pittsburgh, which they did fine against, but that was 2 months ago. So you never know. I'm also going to go with the under, basically due to the Broncos defense. It's clear now that it seems that Sean Payton has a game plan. They figured out what works for their team, and that we can't let other teams score. We're not going to beat you. We're not going to beat teams with offense, which a good Russell Wilson, Cortland Sutton, you could make an argument that they have a decent offense when Judy's on, which he never is. But it's clear that the Broncos are winning games defensively, which I like to see. It's kind of fun. It's always fun to watch a good defense. But yeah, I don't see this being a big margin win unless they win by a touchdown for the Texans. So I'm going to play it safer and go with the Broncos. I think it'll be a 3-point game. I think the Broncos could win, even though it's in Texas. And I'm going to go the under. 47.5 seems like a lot, especially for a Broncos game.
I'm going to go with the Broncos here. I think the Broncos are playing for something more than the Houston Texans are. C.J. Stroud is a rookie. They have like a lot of hype around them. It's a lot of rookie hype. We know how NFL teams with hype end up being. They always lose in the end, especially teams like the Texans. I'm not talking about the Philadelphia Eagles or anything like that. But with that being said, I expect C.J. Stroud to struggle a little bit versus the Broncos. I expect the Broncos to put up points. They have a current 21% chance of making the playoffs. If they win this game, it'll go up a lot. They're fighting for a playoff spot, and a playoff spot for the Denver Broncos in general, a team that's, like we said, taking a lot of shit within the last year, that would be big for them. So I think they're playing with the chip on their shoulder. So Broncos spread.
I think that the Texans are a very good football team. And like Cam was saying, they do have hype right now, but they also just had a battle of like the 2 divisional young quarterbacks in the Jags and the Texans, and they lost that game. So like right now they're coming off a loss. They have that like hype, worn off, and now they're like hungry for the win again. So I'm taking the Texans here, not just because of that, though. I don't think the Broncos are as good as the team as the Texans are, and they've had a lot of good wins this year, a lot of close wins. They've beaten a lot of close games, or beaten teams in a lot of close games, and I think that that's got to wear off at some point. Like, I just don't believe in Russ when it really comes down to it. Like Cam said, the defense has been a top 10 defense recently, but I just don't trust Russ. Like, he can make good enough plays to win close games like that, but I think the Texans could be a real team. Like, I'm not done with them, so 3.5. I hate that number, but I'm going to take Texans -3.5.
You don't see what links of vintage Russ?
I don't think we have vintage Rush days in us anymore. Like, we could have a vintage.
It's gone and went.
There's we can have a vintage Russ moment, maybe a moment here and there, but like a whole day, I don't think it's gonna happen.
He doesn't have it. Like he's not what he was anymore.
Stop it.
I think the Texans draft class this year could go down as, just like the Jets last year, one of the best ones of this century. We have a guy in Will Anderson who has 6 sacks. I think he's leading all rookies. Obviously, we have C.J. Stroud, Tank Dell. That connection is going to, ruin the Colts secondary for years on years. Broncos, strong defensive team, nothing new there. I just think that the Texans offense, they had a little bit of a heat check last week playing the Jaguars, which wasn't exactly a, top tier defense, but they're closer to the top than they are the bottom. And I'm looking forward to watching this game, seeing how CJ Stroud can hopefully lead another game-winning comeback. And I think the spread is perfect. I think Texans win like 24-20.
Broncos been playing pretty good football. They've gotten some wins. They've been in games. As much as I am not a big Broncos guy, and I don't think they'll be anything, but they've played some pretty good football. So I think they can cover 3.5. I don't see them getting blown out by the Texans or the Texans winning by 2 scores. I feel like their defense keep them in the game. And Russ has been doing enough to where I'm confident that they can at least keep it to like a field goal game. And I'm also going to take the under. Like I said, I think this might be, even though I'm a huge CJ Stroud guy, I think this might be one of the weeks that he struggles. And obviously the Broncos offense has been playing better, but it's still not amazing. So I'm taking the under and Broncos plus 3.5.
Jump on Sam's point. We got killed by the Texans, I believe, because Kenny Pickett got out in like the third quarter. So I think that would have been a different outcome of the game if Kenny stayed in there. But nevertheless, I think both of these teams are up and coming. I like what I see out of both of them. And I am going to favor the Texans on this one.
Ooh.
And that is my pick.
Game 2 on slate. The rematch of last year's NFC Championship game. Highly anticipated game. Very excited for this game. Last year, it got kind of cut short because of Black Purdy getting injured. And then Josh Johnson also getting injured, which probably wouldn't have done much either way. But last year, 49ers was minus 2.5, and they lost 31-7. This year, in Philadelphia, 49ers are minus 3. Totals 46.5. We'll get it to Sam.
This is a really interesting game. I guess you can call it a game of the year again. It feels like that's what we're calling every Eagles game from for the last couple of weeks now. I mean, the Eagles are 10-1. They're an absolute wagon. They just pulled a win against the Bills out of their asses. I'm not sure how they did that last week. But this is really interesting because they're 3-point underdogs at home. And the Link is a notoriously tough place to play. It's a tough place to win. And the Niners, they're a good football team. They took care of the Seahawks on Thanksgiving. And I'm going to go with the Niners. For one reason, this is just mental with me, is that if a 10-1 team is a 3-point favorite at home, unless it's the 2020 Steelers, sorry for the Steelers slander, I'm a little skeptical. There's something I think that people know that we may not. So I am going to go with the Niners. And I also think a little analysis for me is the Eagles do have a strong defense. They didn't play that great against the Bills last week because it was the Josh Allen show. I mean, Allen played unreal. He did exactly what he had to do to win that game, and they just fell short. But the Eagles' biggest thing with their defense is a heavy pass rush and taking away deep plays and stuff. Something that Brock Purdy does very well, to his credit, is get the ball out quick and not be susceptible to a very strong pass rush, utilizing screens, utilizing checkdowns and everything like that, and then giving the ball off to guys like Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, who are just born playmakers who can do the job for you from there. Really solid offensive line. So yeah, this one's a really hard one to judge. I don't want to touch the total because you never really know what's going to happen there, especially with these teams. They're so good, both of them, that they can adapt to game plans. They can adapt to situations to where you don't look at them and say, this is an over game or this is an under game. So I'm not going to touch that. But I do think the Eagles have run into a lot of close calls. They've had a lot of sloppy wins, and to their credit, they're finding ways to win. But I think a team as good as the Niners is going to come in and capitalize on every mistake that the Eagles make. And so, yeah, look for that.
I'm going to go after Sam because I think he was preaching right there. There's something about this Eagles team that just, it's like, I don't know, it's almost like you ever had a good meal, but like it's missing something? Like, it's good, but it just doesn't, something's a little off about it. That's how I feel about this Eagles team. Like, they look dominant sometimes, and other times they look really they look very beatable. So I think this is one of those weeks where unless, they come out and they play like they did against the second half of the Bills game and they're that team, if they play like how they did against the Commanders or the Jets or anything, they're getting their ass whooped. And Jalen Hurts coming off that great second half he had, I feel like, they're going to come into that game and not be so motivated. And I think the San Fran's coming in there motivated. They just lost to them in the NFC Championship. They want to whoop their ass.
I'm taking the Eagles, first of all. I just want to say, I think the 49ers, if the 49ers play like how they played against fucking PJ Walker and the Browns, then they're going to get their ass whooped too. I think the 49ers have an incredible roster, incredible weapons, incredible defense. And I think you could say those exact same things about the Philadelphia Eagles. To me, it comes down to his coaching and those moments, crucial moments at the end of the game. Brock Purdy can manage a game, but can he make game-winning plays at the end of the game? I know that you guys, not everybody, but a lot of you guys don't love Jalen Hurts. I think that he can make those plays at the end of the game at least better than Brock Purdy can. You have weapons all around you. Both quarterbacks can say that. You have a great defense behind you. Both quarterbacks can say that. So, and you have great teams and great coaches. So I think that this game is so highly anticipated for a reason, and it really is going to be a good one. I'm interested to see if it'll be high scoring or defensive showout, but I think the Eagles are going to prevail. I don't want to touch the total. Give me the Eagles. And by the way, the fact that they're dogs at home is crazy as hell. At the Link too, which is one of the best stadiums. Give me the Eagles.
I agree with Tommy. I think the Eagles are the better team. I think it's going to come down to a battle in the trenches. Who converts the third and fourth downs? We all know what the Eagles do when it comes to managing third and fourth downs as a team. They're first in the NFL in fourth down conversion. We all know why. Tush push. So I think this game is going to come down to the trenches, and we all know who wins in the trenches. I feel like the Eagles simply got that. The run game is good. It's going to be a running game. I think the Eagles got a better run game than the Niners. And
is that the fact that the Eagles are better at running the ball?
I mean, that's not necessarily the determining factor. Who can establish the run better will be for sure a determining factor, but they both have great offensive lines, like Cam said. You got Jason Kelce versus Trent Williams, who are two of the best to ever do it. And, Christian McCaffrey's having an MVP type season, but then you also got Kenneth DeAndre Swift, exactly. And Jalen Hurts himself too. So it's
the Niners are going to struggle with establishing the run. Like Tommy said, they struggled against the Browns. They play like that versus the Eagles. It's going to be a nightmare for them with the D-line that the Eagles have. So other than that, I think the Eagles beat the Niners in the trenches. And then it comes down to the quarterback, and I'm easily taking Hurts over Purdy. So Eagles spread.
I bet I think it was the Dolphins over the Eagles, and that ended up not being right. And I was like, I'm never gonna bet against the Eagles again until about last week or 2 weeks ago, where I bet the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs won. And I was like, okay, I'm not betting the Eagles. I'm not betting against the Eagles again. They've proved me wrong twice. They proved me wrong twice, and still fuck the Eagles. I'm taking the 49ers. I do think the Eagles are a really good team, maybe the best team in the league. Like the Eagles versus Kansas City game, I think they remembered the Super Bowl last year. They were like, they beat us in the Super Bowl. We want to get the Chiefs. I think that the 49ers are the same way. They're like, we didn't have a quarterback and you beat us. And they probably think they're the better team. So they want to probably prove to the Eagles out of everybody that they're a better team. So I think they come out here with a little extra chip on their shoulder, because I know they were upset when Purdy got hurt and that ruined their season.
Cobe, it's really cute that you feel that way. And it's cool that you say that, the Eagles might be the best team in the league. They absolutely are the best team in the NFL. I think what you're going to view when the Eagles play the 49ers is complete and utter domination at the line of scrimmage.
The strength of the 49ers defense is in their pass rush and their cover linebacker, Fred Warner. What the Eagles are going to do, because not only are they good players on both sides of the ball, their coaches are intelligent and they know how to game plan. They will be running the rock down the 49ers' throat. There was a game earlier in the season, I couldn't pull it off the top of my head, in which every single play, they had probably a 15 or 16 play drive, 14 runs, 2 passes, tush push, DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, the whole 9 yards. They actually got the whole 90-something yards and went all the way down the field. The Eagles are going to win this game. It's going to be under. It's going to be very, very low scoring. But the Eagles are on a really hot run right now. They're probably the hottest team in football, similar to the Oregon Ducks of college football, both the hottest teams out right now. And I think their win streak will continue against another top tier opponent, Eagles and the under.
I've been on the Eagles all year, so no point in switching up now. Go Birds.
You've been on the Eagles since before they got AJ Brown.
I know. I mean, I kind of gotta ride with them. I'm in Eagles territory, but I'm riding.
It's time for the best part of the show. Locks of the week. We're gonna give it to Martin. Shout out Martin for having the worst record of locks on the show and wanting to go first for locks.
You didn't have to say that. I feel like that was already kind of a given. The reason why I was going first, kind of just try to get it over with. Hey guys, I'm back. My lock of the week this week is the Chargers -6 against the New England Patriots. New England Patriots, abysmal, horrible football team. Will they find a way to win this game? Absolutely not. Chargers, one of the best under 500 teams that I've ever seen. They have way too much talent to have the record that they have. Do they have a difficult schedule? Sure. Is Brandon Staley kind of a dumbass? Sure. Did they lose Mike Williams? Is that big of a catalyst? Not really. I just think they're a lot better than what their record shows. Can they beat the New England Patriots, the absolute dog water New England Patriots this season, by more than a touchdown? Yes, they can. And they will on Sunday. Listen, nobody here is going to listen to me. None of our viewers are going to want me to make this pick, because if they had it on their cards, they're probably going to take it off their cards. Nonetheless, Chargers -6, book it.
You know where I'm going next, because I have the same one as you, Martin.
Whoa!
Wow.
Yeah.
I was
Wow.
actually going to take the same lock.
Whoa!
As a person that lives with a Patriots fan and often have to, observe the team every once in a while, dude, I'm sorry, Coby. I know if Lowell was here, I would apologize to him too, but they're awful, bro. Like,
Harold.
struggle to move the ball down the field. Like, they make football look so difficult. Like, it's bad. And the Chargers coming off a loss against my Ravens, and they actually play pretty good, like, especially defensively. They played a better game than people realize. Like, it was close. The game was definitely closer than the final score for sure. So, like Martin said, they're having a lot of troubles right now, but they're a talented team, and I think they're gonna just wax the Patriots. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm thinking the Browns versus the Rams. The Browns have a beautiful defense, great defense. I think they're going to get to Stafford. Stafford's struggling, just coming back. Cooper Kupp is struggling. I would know. I got him in fantasy. I think the Browns are going to get after Stafford, lock up Kupp, Nakua, put a little cap on the bottle, and cover the +3. So go Browns, go Brownies.
I won a lock last week. Please clap. But thank you, everyone. I know I'm here all day. In all seriousness, I took a total last week involving the Cardinals, so I figured, hey, why not do it again this week? And I was looking the Score app, shout out the Score, scrolling down, and I saw the Cardinals are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the total is set at 41.5. That is redonkulous. The Steelers have no offense whatsoever. The Cardinals, I don't even know what's going on with them. Every game the Steelers play in is like watching Iowa versus Wisconsin. Yeah, I would be shocked if this game even gets to 35 points, let alone 41. So yeah, under 41.5, Steelers Cardinals, lock that in.
No offense is a pretty strong claim. They did break 400 yards, guys.
To score 16 points.
First time this century they broke 400 yards.
Yeah, I just want to say that we're back. Also, I had the under, I think it was 36.5 last week in the Steelers Bengals, and that hit. So
yeah, exactly.
I hate to do this to Martin and Sandy, even though I don't even really think he's a real fan, but Colts are playing a divisional matchup this week against the Tennessee Titans. Two pretty, I would say the Colts are definitely better than Titans, but pretty mid teams. The Colts are they're -1.5. Titans are getting points at home. I think that is a little bit insane. I'm not going to lie. I think that it should be a close game, like probably Titans -1.5 instead. But I will just throw some data at you. Vrabel is 12-5 against spread at home as a dog. JT is out, and the Colts are on a 3-game winning streak. And I think that the Colts aren't a good enough team to go on a 4-game winning streak. So law of averages, I think that they're going to lose. Titans +1.5. That's my lock of the week.
The Commanders Dolphins over. The Commanders, they're doing pretty good this year. Sam Howell's like pretty good in the offense. He's been airing it out. Like the offense, even when the games they don't win, they still air it out. They put up a lot of points. And same thing with the Dolphins, two teams that are just all right, but like they put up numbers, they put up yards. I think that even though it's high at 49.5, I think both these teams score at least 25 each. So I think that they might actually hit this over by a lot, even though it's a high over. These are two high scoring teams, and I don't see how they don't score at least 50.
My lock of the week is the Detroit Lions over the Saints. The Lions had a pretty embarrassing loss on Thanksgiving, and I think they're going to bounce back in a good way. They are -4 and should be able to cover it. I believe Derek Carr's back from his injury, but I still think they're going to pull it out.
Like and subscribe. Tell your friends.
Like and
Tell your
subscribe.
mom. Merry
Fade
Christmas.
chin.
Happy
Fade
Hanukkah.
chin. Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Fade chin.
Happy
Kwanzaa, too.
Happy Kwanzaa. Fade Sam. Merry Christmas.
Happy Ramadan.
Ramadan.
That's not this time of year.
Yeah.
Regardless.
Right. But regardless, happy Ramadan.